Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Namaste. It is great to be here on this Tuesday morning. We are going to be staying with the theme of birth for at least one more day as we remain here in this post-Christmas season, the season of birth, of birthing the Christ, the immortal Christ, into this experience. I don't even want to say this world because we know that the world that I see is different than the world that you see or that anyone else. It's a very different experience because of the projection of our mind. We're all projecting a different, very new world every moment. But the Christ within us that's being born as us is the same Christ. There is only one extension of the love and the loveliness of God. And though it seems like it's showing up here and there and many other places, there's only one place it shows up, and that's right here. I am here. We used to use those words a lot whenever we would begin with that prayer. I am here only to be truly helpful. That's really the key to Christmas, being truly helpful, allowing ourselves to be used by the divine, to be that expression of love and loveliness, of holiness and grace. So we're going to continue reading today from the Impersonal Life. In fact, let me show you guys something. Baraka, you haven't even seen this yet, but maybe you did. I sent you an email, but you guys want to see the cover of the book? Hold on, let me do a little screen share here just to get you some early morning excitement. So this is the cover of the Impersonal Light that I just received this morning from the illustrator. Maybe make it a little bit bigger for you. Oh. Isn't that beautiful? All right. Just to give you a quick glimpse at that beautiful cover. So why don't we just go ahead and dive right in. I want to share lesson 20 from the Impersonal Light. It's a very short lesson, but it brings home this analogy of a woman giving birth to the birth that's taking place through you. Yesterday after our session, I was speaking with Lita, who's one of our residents here at Namaste. We were talking about this theme of how a woman forgets the pain of childbirth as soon as the birth actually happens, because the love that she feels for this child that she has now given birth to is so overwhelming that that terrible pain that she would have to endure, obviously not totally forgotten, but that point of eruption of the volcano that you would never want to experience again, it dissipates. But what Lita said was when she was ready to give birth to her second child, it all came back to her and she remembered it. She said, "Nuh-uh," like right before the going into labor, no, I remember now. I forgot for a while, but now I remember. But other than that, I think most women are going to agree, and maybe Vicky or others can talk about this, that as soon as that baby lays in your arms, that terrible pain. I know, Vicky, you had to go through a C-section. That's what Teddy told us yesterday. So maybe it was different for you, but for a woman who goes through a natural childbirth, all the pain that one experiences is forgotten when you hold that baby in your arms. So let's think about that when we hear this lesson. It says, the instant you allow the light to be born through you, all the pain that led up to your labor will disappear, replaced by joy you cannot presently imagine. Okay, so it says the instant you allow the light to be born through you, all the pain that led up to your labor will disappear. So what is the pain of the labor that we are going through as we birth the Christ? Well, we could say pain itself, all of the distractions and all of the dealings of the ego that keep us distracted from the simple truth of who we are and have always been. The pain of separation, the pain of loss, all of these things which we consider to be a normal part of our day, a normal part of our lives, the pain of losing someone we love, whatever it means. It's saying that all of that pain will be replaced by joy that you cannot presently imagine when you allow the light to be born through you. You have to allow this instead of resist it. I think any woman will also tell you that resisting the birth of a child is futile. When it's time to be born, the child will be born. Whether you want it to happen or not, it's going to happen. The same is true with this experience of the light of the Christ consciousness, whatever you want to call that. You're giving birth to reality itself. And yes, it's a painful process of letting go, of surrendering, of allowing. But the instant you do allow, the instant you do surrender, and just as a mother holding that newborn child in her arms, you are holding this world in your arms. All of that pain is forgotten. So let me begin again. The instant you allow the light to be born through you, all the pain that led up to your labor will disappear, replaced by joy you cannot presently imagine. You experience pain because you chose to separate from everything that exists, and focus instead on what has never existed, claiming it as your own. Do you see that that's where all the pain comes from? Claiming something and focusing on what has never existed? How could that lead to the ultimate joy of birth that we're engaged in now? We're laying aside what never was in favor of what always was. You believe that in accepting everything, you are losing something. This is the key. This is the highest insanity of the ego. The belief that in accepting everything, you're losing something. When the truth is, you're giving up the idea of loss altogether. That's all loss really is, an idea, a thought, a concept. You're giving up all of those concepts now that it's possible for you to lose anything that is true, anything that is real. How can you lose anything when you accept and embrace all that is? But this is the insane belief that you have chosen until now, that losing nothing is painful. Did you hear that? This is the insane belief that you're giving up, that losing nothing is painful. When you look at it that clearly and that objectively, you see the insanity for what it is. It is insane to believe that in giving up nothing that you're going to experience pain. You're experiencing pain by holding on to nothing. And that's what you see now. That's what's so obvious now. Holding on to nothing, which is the idea that you could lose when you accept everything. Accepting everything means that you've lost nothing that is true, nothing that you love. Everything goes with you. Where here in the perceptual universe, in the split mind, nothing that is true goes with you. Because you're denying everything that is real. So today's lesson is just about relaxing. It's just about allowing that birth to take place through you. Because if you do, the joy of holding that new creation in your arms will overwhelm everything. All right. So Vicki, I'm going to turn it over to you for the practical example of this. And we're so grateful to have you back. Hello, Vicki.
Hi, Jimmy. Hi, everybody. I'm so happy to be here. Happy New Year. Merry Christmas still. So this is great because this has been a year of birth. And birth is about what is upon us as new and letting go of all the old. And I think as a culture, that's what the experience that has been most difficult for many and has been most enlightening for many of us and many who find their life centered in God, in the light. That in letting go of everything, we found everything. the letting go of thinking we're free to go here, to go there, to visit family, or to do this, got opened up to a new space of discovery of what being in the present moment is, and the present fullness that's at hand. And this family, this Namaste and Zoom family is one example. There's some line I remember Jesus saying that you will weep beside your brothers, those that you have awakened with, that you have looked to the light with, because nothing is so dear as a brother who loves God with you. Any two or more that love God together, we're awakened to the light that we are. And that's what's happening. And this birth leaves us now in a place of realizing we don't need all the things we thought we needed. What we need is already right here, the fullness of love, the fullness of light. And and just like with the newborn, when I had Teddy, I was never interested in children. So, and I didn't realize I was ordained to be a mother. It was the happiest thing I ever did. But I had this natural attitude of wonder and discovery because I had no past reference. I had never babysat. I'd never taken care of kids. I'd never even held any kids. I don't know how I missed all that, but I didn't. But I see that it set me up perfectly not to use a past reference. And I think that's, if we want this light to fully open up in us, if we let go of all the ideas we have of what that means and look with wonder and discovery. This is a time of discovering what the light will show up as, what God's will for us might be, what our part in the plan might be, what this day might be, if I don't use my past reference to get in the way and to interrupt that natural flow of light that will illuminate everything. And it's that illumination that is the joy. After birth, that child's face is illumination. Oh my gosh, it doesn't matter. And I think we men, women, we all know that when we've done some project that we've been called to. When there's been a call on us to do something and it's been seemingly difficult to get there, when it opens up, we forget all the work it took. And we're so grateful to be in the present joy of it expressing, of it coming through. And when we can do that every minute, it's always just right now. You know, salvation isn't next week. It's not next year. It's right now. So when we can look with that discovering mind, like, oh, how is the light going to show up in me and my brother in this room, wherever I am today? How is it? How is it? Where am I called to enjoy it and to bless and to love and to join? Those are the hallmarks of light, whether it's a new child that we're taking care of or the new child of light of our own being, the Christ of our own being, to be that tender and precious with, and to look at everything with wonder again and welcome, and that attitude of discovering and not using anything from the past and letting this moment be the full discovery, not later, the full discovery that we are joined here now. Brothers loving God together in every which way, in any language, that has become a joy, a stability, a birth for all of us. It's a way that has not cemented, but has stabilized that light that we are, because it's impossible not to see it in one another. And Jimmy, really, I thank you, and all our brothers here, thank you for being the center post, for being willing to play that role and gather so many around you in this family of light. Thanks, honey.
Mhm. Well, I couldn't do it without you, Vicky. That's for sure. And I choose not to. Thank you, Vic. Teddy, let's hear what you have to say this morning.
Well, I don't know if you'll be able to hear me because we have some workmen outside. So, can you guys hear my voice?
Are you okay?
Okay. You know, I'm not sure we ever talked about this, but it got edited out of the course when Jesus talks about the idea of physical sex between people. And one of the things he says is that the only true purpose is in order to bring another soul into form so as for him to learn the lessons. And there's a big lesson in all of that itself. Um, and we are, what we're really learning as we let go of our thoughts is that we are already joined, we are already whole, we are already perfect. And, don't be confused by continuing symptoms. That's it. Um, so it is. I really appreciate the fact that guys get together and they join.
Yeah.
Minds communicate, bodies don't. And words, they mean whatever we think they mean. But the truth is, it really comes down to vibratory frequencies of energy and joining and not resisting, you know, not resisting it when it feels acute in order to utilize that to understand what the purpose is that you're experiencing. You're either in harmony or you experience a lack of harmony, and that lack of harmony's got to have something to do with you. Whether the two people aren't harmonizing or not, if you're experiencing it, it's got to have something to do with you, and that's where the forgiveness comes in. And the forgiveness is always some sort of way that we see that we were wrong about everything in its entirety, and we were never not one with our brothers. So I don't know, just the way.
Yeah, there you go. Well, what more needs to be said?
No, it's just the way it is. Like when you have a true experience, the experience, because one of the hardest things that there has been for me to convey is the idea that when you have an experience of eternity, it really is eternal in that experience. Like it doesn't start in time, it doesn't end in time, but you experience the totality of what eternal and infinite is when there is an experience of that. And that can never, ever, ever, ever be mistaken for something less than real. And when you look at anything that isn't that, you just know, first of all, it's passing, it's going to be gone. Second of all, it just isn't true. That's not what reality is.
Yeah.
Just not what reality is.
And the theory of that eternal experience gets you nowhere. The thought about it gets you nowhere. Talking words, concepts, none of it. But once again, it's the experience and saying yes and allowing. That's the only thing we really talk about here is just falling back. It's like that, falling back into the arms of God, that trust experiment. I'm willing to trust this. I'm willing to go for it. Nothing's going to hold me back. The idea that I'm not going to fall back because who knows who's going to catch me is what keeps you here. The moment you say, I don't care if you catch me or not.
Well, and it is. It's like when people join and know that they're whole, it changes the entire vibratory frequency of energy of the communication. And that's what's attractive. I mean, that's what really is attractive. Like you and Vicky joining together in true purpose is an attractant. And anybody who operates within that vibratory frequency of energy is going to want to gravitate to where they feel at home. And then they carry that with them. And we carry each other with them. Like we're all joined in that at some point.
And this is another reason why we feel the need to join with people who agree with us, because it makes us feel like we must be right. If I have a grievance, for example, what am I going to do? I'm going to find people who say, yeah, you're right about that. That person shouldn't have done that. Or the opposite. We're coming together, we're joining in this higher vibratory experience. And people say, you're right about that because I'm feeling it too. So we have this natural need to gravitate toward people who agree with us. And we can do that in the illusion to maintain the grievance, or we can do that to finally see and to release the light within us. That's all we're doing here. That's what the experience is. And yes, the joining is an essential part of it. We did hear yesterday that ultimately you're alone in this because you're all that is. That's true. But in this moment, this joining, this holding one another by the hand, stepping into the light together, this is where the magic is. Thank you, Teddy. All right, let's go ahead.